Network.
This is the Republic of Pinellas, a new radio show about politics in Florida's most important county, with your host, Ron Ogden.
And good afternoon to you on this last Wednesday before the holidays, before Christmas, and a beautiful one it is. I'm Ron Ogden, and this is the Republic of Pinellas, brought to you in partnership with the Free Press, your source for unbiased, honest reporting of events in Tampa Bay, Florida, and beyond. Click on www.tampafp.com. And I want to bid good afternoon to the chair of our Pinellas County Commission, Dave Eggers of Dunedin.
Great to be here.
I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about. We've just been sort of creating an agenda here for our next few minutes of discussion. But one of the things I think that, and by the way, if you are listening and you'd like to have a question or an opinion, question for Commissioner Eggers or for me for that matter, call 727-441-3000. And so as I was saying, we've got a lot of things to talk about. We're going to hear in a few minutes of interest, particularly to the folks in the north part of the county who have been waiting breathlessly, and I do mean breathlessly, for US 19 to get amended up there. There are lots of new information about that in the Curlew Road and Tampa Road vicinity. But the first topic is going to be term limits. And as Chairman Dave Eggers had been pushing the idea of giving the voters an opportunity to act on the issue of term limits. And I guess the most recent development is that has gone entirely belly up for lack of any support other than Kathleen Peters.
Correct.
Commissioner Kathleen Peters, a good Republican whom we all admire and appreciate, and are glad that she at this point is not facing any opposition for her re-election next year. She supported you. That is correct.
That is
right?
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
So what happened other than that? Why?
It's a difficult thing to try to understand. Clearly, there in Pinellas County, there are three ways you can get an item, a referendum item on the ballot through petition process, which the voters did back in 1996. And for various reasons, it was thrown out by the Supreme Court. So that was one way to get term limits. The second way was through a charter review commission, which is formed every 8 years, usually on an election year. So the last one was in 2016. And there was testimony taken. I spoke and said, well, I'm not sure if it's 8 years or 12 years, but you guys need to have that discussion and put it forward. And it never really even got discussion and consideration. And the third way is for 5 commissioners to elect through ordinance to put it on the ballot for the following year's referendum. So since we just had it in 2016, that effort by the charter review, this was my chairmanship year. So I thought, well, this would be a good year to bring it forward and bring forward. And I really think at the county commission level, I mean, everybody can have different opinions. I think 12 years is the right amount. So it's what I put forward. Frankly, as you said, Commissioner Peters supported it. The second meeting that we had, I thought we might get into some robust conversation. And then quite frankly, it was silence. And I challenged everybody there to say, well, I guess silence means you're in favor of it, which clearly then that got a lot of response. And then they decided they didn't have any interest in it. And so, that third way of doing it went by the wayside. So I think, you go full circle sometimes, right. And probably another petition-led drive is going to be the way to do it. It's cumbersome, although it's gotten less cumbersome. Probably 8% of the electorate is about, say, roughly 60,000 people, and they have to be spread out throughout the county. But that's the effort probably that would ultimately prevail, it's seemingly. But, you just never know. If you get a different mix on the commission, it can change. But
Dave, you've worked with these folks now for several years. How many years have you been on the commission now?
7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Janet Long has been on for more than that, I think.
Yeah, I think she's finished. She's in her third term.
Yep.
And Charlie's in his third term. And
Pat Gerard.
Yeah, Pat Gerard's with me. She started when I did. So
both Janet and Pat had a relatively narrow squeak at the ballot box in 2020. You would think that they would understand that there was a significant number of people, voters in Pinellas County who want to see something new, something fresh on the county commission, that they would be willing to say, let's go ahead and do this, because they're not going to always say, hey, I voted for this.
Yeah.
I voted for your franchise. But no, they didn't even want to engage with you about this.
No, I was a little bit surprised. I kind of took the tack that it's like, let's not debate whether you're for or against term limits.
Mm-hmm.
Let's come up with something that we think makes some sense. Debate that number. I said 12 years, if you have something different. But then let's let the voters decide, as they did some 27, 26 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, that's a whole generation now has passed. And so we have a whole new set of voters that are available. So, to do it again, let's let the voters choose. And to me, that was the more important direction to go in. And it's just still had no appetite for it. So
why is there such resistance?
I don't know. I mean, there are some people who truly believe that the ballot box is the effort that can be made to make a change. So if people want a person for multiple years, then they ought to have the right to vote for that person. So there are some people who truly believe that. And my point is that I think it is structurally unfair for the most part. So it makes it easier for an incumbent to be reelected, unless there's, say, some major issue, like if you remember a few years ago when we had fluoride, and then of course the pandemic of last year created some, as you just mentioned, some tight races. So aside from that, it's really it's kind of an unfair advantage, I think. So
I think political scientists and people who just are involved in this process because they want to be, I think nobody would argue that an incumbent is at any kind of a disadvantage.
No.
And they might say, well, it's even Steven. But the truth of it is that an incumbent, by virtue of the fact that they have the presence, and there's something that attaches to a sitting member of any legislative or administrative body for that matter. When you are the incumbent, you get introduced first, and you get the opportunity to appear perhaps where just a relatively new and unknown challenger has no opportunity. There is a built-in bias in favor of an incumbent.
There is.
And to me, and I think to a lot of Republicans, it's enough that it needs to be challenged.
Yeah, and 12 years is what I proposed. I mean, that's a decade plus.
And it wouldn't be until after the passage of the referendum anyway, right?
It would start, effective. So, I had made it so that it was effective with the referendum passing, but dating it as November 1st of next year.
Right.
And the subtlety behind that was that for someone like myself who might take advantage of a third term, you'd finish the term you're in, and that would be my second term, because November 1st, as of November 1st, I had to get one more term. So that would, if you made it effective January 1st, then you would get 4 terms. And I wanted to stay away from that. So I backed it up to make it prior to the election, and therefore capping me at 12 years at most. So, it just, there were some things I thought were really well designed, and it would have been a good thing to let our residents speak.
We've talked about Kathleen Peters and Pat Gerard and Janet Long, but there's another member of the county commission who is a nominal Republican, and who's not really at this point in her career, and it's been a lengthy career, holding a high profile in the affairs of the county. It seems to me you rarely do hear anymore. It seems to be Karen Seal. Did she have any? Did she talk to you at all about this? And is she?
Well, first of all, as you know, we talk about it. We talk about it during workshops. We talk about it during commission meetings. We can't really, since there's something that we likely are to vote on, we can't talk about it outside of that. So we didn't have any opportunities to chat about it down the hallway. That would be a problem with sunshine issues. But no, there was, in fact, I had the first time I introduced it in October at a workshop. I think she was not involved in that meeting. I think, as it turns out, she had wanted to be involved, but wasn't involved in the meeting. And then the second time, she was calling in, and again, I didn't remember her weighing in on it. But so, I mean, again, someone who's finishing her 22nd year right now might have an opinion about what might be more balanced perspective, I guess, and might be more acceptable number of years. But again, I assume that she's not for it, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
So your quote is to your colleagues: "You're missing the boat. It's coming at you anyway."
Yeah.
Do you believe that there will be an effort to put it on the 2022 ballot?
Well, I don't know about that, but I do think that it is not easy. I mean, just running numbers real quickly, you're talking about 60,000 votes. That's 15,000 per district if you're looking at the at-large districts. No, the single member districts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so that's a lot of work to get there. I'm not sure you're going to see it this time. Although I did go to one meeting and I mentioned that, and they said, "Well, how do you know we're not doing one too?" And I said, "I don't. I haven't heard of any efforts being made. So I suspect it probably won't happen this coming year. But I think that that seems to be the one way that at least the residents can take charge of it themselves."
Do you think that this debate has caused any bad feelings on the county commission between yourself and Kathy on the one side and the Democrats on the other?
Well, I mean, I think anytime somebody is held accountable to some kind of position that they don't like, they might take it that way. I mean, I certainly didn't, find it, very collegial, not to have dialogue and debate and discussion. So tell me 16 years is the number. I talk to a lot of people who are they say, "Oh, I don't like term limits. I think you shouldn't have them." And I said, "Well, what about 20 years?" And they go, "Well, now you're just making fun of me. That's way too long."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "So you are a term limit person. It's just not 8 years." So there's a lot of appetite for term limits if you put it in those terms, at least the people that I talk to. So, again, I was just a little disappointed that we didn't have a little more robust conversation about something that, 1996, 70% of the people of Pinellas County, more or less, voted for it, or 70% of the electorate.
Not only, they've also voted for it, if I recall correctly, for the constitutional officers, which in the end was found to be unconstitutional against the Florida Constitution, but it is still appropriate for them to have the elected officials in the county commission.
And my proposal, I think it was making it very clear, was just talking about the county commissioners this year. So that was my intention.
Okay.
So.
It is 20 after 4 here on the Republic of Pinellas. I'm Ron Ogden, and our guest is Dave Eggers, chairman of the Pinellas County Commission. And your term goes until when?
Till December 31st.
Okay.
So we have just about a week or so left.
So are you welcoming stepping down from the big center chair? Or?
Well, I really have enjoyed the opportunity. You get but it is time. After this, you have a lot more meetings to attend. You're chairman of a few more boards, and so there's a lot more involvement. You have more speaking engagements, and so at the end of the year, it's you're like, okay, it's time for the next. It's time for the next person. I just did that too.
Everybody does.
Yeah. So so it's time. And I look forward to a little bit more flexibility in my schedule next year.
Right.
So.
Before we go to break here in just a couple minutes, let me ask you this. I guess the most current and interesting thing that's cropping up is Omicron. Has anyone from the county administration, the Department of Health, anybody come to you and said, we got an issue? Or is that not?
No, we really haven't had any discussion. There's nobody that's come to me individually. We've not talked about it on at a county commission meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the national news infiltrates down and gets a lot of folks very concerned about it. But I keep trying to talk to people who are actually doing research on the virus, and it's a little bit different virus than the previous ones. It's maybe it spreads a little more, but its effect is a little less.
A little less.
Or if not,
supposedly it is a milder condition.
Yeah, exactly. So we have not had much discussion one-on-one or at a commission at all about this.
Okay, so administration hasn't come to you and said, look out, we're going to have to start posting signs in businesses like
not at all. I
year.
think everybody just says, everybody just be careful. Try to be smart about it.
Well, that seems to be much more sensible.
It does. I mean, certainly a lot less divisive, right?
So exactly. Speaking of divisive, US 19 divides the county in half, more or less. And when we return here on the Republic of Pinellas after this break, we're going to find out what's new on US 19 from Curlew Road south, north, the North Pinellas County. We'll be back.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Show me the money. It's the Employment Opportunity Hour with Gene Hodge every Thursday night from 7 until 8.
So the purpose of the show is to help you out there to find something that you enjoy doing instead of a job. And at the start of the show, I normally give out a formula, which I know will guarantee you to find the type of job that you want right now.
Find out the formula to an enjoyable job with Gene Hodge's Employment Opportunity Hour every Thursday night from 7 until 8 here on the Tan Talk Radio Network. Show me the money.
You may be owed some money. After 911 and 411, call 541. That's 727-541-1741. Call Gulfstream Motorsports for a diminished value report. Due to my 28 years experience in the auto salvage business, I'm very good with wrecks. So if your car's been involved in a wreck, call me for a diminished value report. Call 727-541-1741. You may be owed some money for the lost value of your repaired vehicle. And visit us at GulfstreamMotorsports.com.
Hey guys, this is Audra Christian over at Tan Talk Radio. I'm inviting you to listen to my new show, The Audra Christian Show and the Real State of Real Estate. We plan on focusing on everything that affects your home in the Tampa Bay area. I love being a realtor, would love to guide you into buying your next house or selling your next house. Come listen to everything that affects real estate in the Tampa Bay area, Tan Talk Radio, every Tuesday, 4 p.m., 1340 a.m.
Do you have trouble with communicating, or are you drowning in clutter? You are not alone. There is a solution. This is Christiana, your clarity coach. I can help you find the clarity you need, and it's easier than you think. Whether it's your communication, your mind, or your disorganized physical space. Join me Wednesdays at 5 p.m. for Clarity Corner with Christiana, and let's do this together. Remember, that's Wednesdays at 5 p.m. on Tan Talk Radio Network.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
And we're back with Dave Eggers here on the Republic of Pinellas, and I'm Ron Ogden. The call-in number, 441-3000. As a resident of North Pinellas County, I'm gratified to hear that the day that the first golden shovel will be turned to do the overpasses and the other work on US 19 in the north part of the county is approaching. And we don't know exactly what date that's going to be yet. I don't know whether even there will even be a ceremony of any kind to mark the beginning. It's rather hard to imagine that there would be, with traffic roaring up and down the road, but still it might be nice, because we waited for decades for the improvement of 19 to fix those bottlenecks on Curlew, Evans Road, Tampa Road, and such. So we are confident that it will definitely start at some point. Could you give us an idea in general of first thing, it'll be on January 2nd? Will it be the summer? Will it be the autumn? When do you think?
Yeah, I'm don't have the exact date, but I'm going to guess probably the second half of the year, somewhere in that third quarter. They'll probably start.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely in the 2022 budget year as far as DOT is concerned, which is July 1.
Yeah.
So I'm sensing third quarter probably going to start, and it probably take about 3 years to complete. So
Okay.
You're talking about major intersection, much like the one down at 580.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about frontage roads on east side and the west side from Curlew to 580.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about a series of road elevations. Every quarter of a mile, there will be an access point.
This is new.
Yeah.
Tell us, what do you mean exactly when you talk about road elevations? What road is going to elevate, and how high is it going to go?
It's certainly not going to be the same height as the intersection, the major intersection at Curlew, but they're going to provide some roads, some pedestrian, some bicycle access across 19 every quarter of a mile.
Let me understand
Yeah.
this. So this will be east-west
Mm-hmm.
that will pass under US 19, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this will be for pedestrians
And bicyclists.
and bicyclists?
And there'll be one or two basic U-turns for cars.
Okay.
So those will be elevated a little bit more.
All right.
If it's just bicycles and pedestrians, it'll be a little lower.
So between Evans Road and Curlew Road is mile and a quarter.
Probably. It's every quarter. So you're talking about five access points.
No kidding.
And one of the things that just scares you to death, you see people, they don't want to walk half a mile, 3/4 of a mile to the light to cross and then come back up to the same point. So they just go across 19, which is about 6 to 8 lanes of. It's probably appears like Daytona 500 sometimes up and down there.
Oh, yeah.
And you've had some deaths along the way, and it's just
Quite a
very
few.
dangerous. So this will be a lot better. It'll be a lot safer. The road system, the frontage roads will be a little safer as well. And I think all in all, you'll have it'll be safety and at the same time moving traffic. And so we'll get through Curlew, and the next one would be Tampa Road.
Let's get the picture of we're northbound on US 19. We come past the mall and we descend from the 580 overpass to the light that always catches everybody.
Right.
Nobody ever seems to be able to get past the Evans Road light. So that will be gone.
Correct.
Okay. And once you come up the 580 overpass, will you stay elevated until you pass over Evans, or will you go down and up again?
Boy, you're getting into the details
I know.
that I've seen, frankly, many times. And I'm trying to remember when you will come down a little bit, because we're trying to be a little sensitive, somewhat sensitive to the businesses on both sides of the road.
Yeah. And forgive me, it's not actually Evans Road. That's is it where the light is? Evans Road?
The light
that's
is not
Republic
Evans.
Drive.
Yeah, that's Republic Drive.
Republic
Evans
Drive,
is a small road
right between
that that is on both sides of 19, but doesn't connect.
Okay.
So yeah, you'll come down, and then you'll start to go back up every 1/4 of a mile. That process will happen, so that you'll have ways to get across. So yeah.
So you'll go up, and the first one, is it arbitrary at a 1/4 mile, or do you have to have a road intersection there, or at least
I think they're trying
center,
to have some synergy with other things that are there. So I think the first one will be at that light, that first one, and then there'll be one at the other end.
Probably about. Let's go north.
Yeah.
As we go past Republic Drive, it would seem likely the next one would be in the vicinity of Serendipity Mobile Home Park.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you. I know there's going to be four
around there.
There's going to be 4 or 5 in there, and one of them will be up near the where Bob Evans used to be, but the road up there, Northside Square Drive, and that one actually will be. There'll actually be a pedestrian overpass there. So that's
where will that be?
Down up there by the Olive Garden and.
So by where the county buildings are now. On the one side, you've got the tax collector, on the other. You have the courthouse. I think there's a
county facility over there,
and there's also the driving.
Correct.
Driving license
and a recycle collection.
That's right.
So somewhere around there'll be the last one, I believe, before you get to the intersection.
And then back down, and then you'll go up again over Curlew.
Correct.
Okay, with associated roads on the side, and then back down off of Curlew, and then we go all the way to Tampa.
It kind of comes down for a landing around 39th US County Road 39.
Okay.
And then it flattens out, and then nothing else happens from there north. I think the last major overpass will be at Tampa Road.
Okay.
And then there'll be some intersection work going north beyond that, but the last, I think, and they're starting to look at right-of-way acquisitions and that kind of thing.
So is the Tampa Road work in this package, or
No,
is it?
no,
Okay, it's not. So it could be a while.
It will be a while. Yeah, this one will take about 3.5 years. So it'll be all the way until 2025 probably before it's completed. And the next one will be probably lined up and funded by then, but not started until after that.
And we understand that once Tampa Road is passed, then there probably will not be any further substantial large-scale work on 19 all the way up to the county line. Is that correct?
Well, I think that, the most of the other intersections in Nebraska and Alderman and Klosterman will all be a different type of intersection perhaps, but it won't be any overpasses. The only last one that could possibly would be in Tarpon Springs at Keystone and Tarpon Road.
Yes.
Tarpon, that one could be. There was the city does not really prefer that. But frankly, and it's not on the plan right now, but it could be reestablished. It just depends on the traffic flows that we're getting, because if you ever try to traverse that area,
Right.
at work and going home or coming. The backup on Keystone to get onto 19 is it's 2 lanes and you can't get through the light. So it's a problem there. So
well, we're glad to see it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for pushing it.
Yeah.
Let's think about either side of US 19. On the east, we have East Lake Road, and on the west, we have alternate 19 at Curlew and also Nebraska and such places as that. Let's think about East Lake Road first, because to many people, and many people that are involved in this process and are interested, that's a real nightmare up there, East Lake Road.
Yeah, it's a problem.
What do you foresee?
Well, again, I think it's clear that East Lake Road that turns into McMullen Booth is a road that's got many lights, and that's not going to change. So I don't envision. We had a group come in, and they're called, it's THEA. It's a group out of Tampa that manages facilities like the one over in Tampa that has a double-decker highway, just to get some ideas out there. But I don't think that's going to be changing, and we just only have so much right-of-way width. So how are you going to move traffic that way? Probably it'll be a combination of interrupted lights, and maybe dedicated lane. In the morning, you might get 2 hours of dedicated extra lane, and that if you have 3 people in the car, or you're in a bus, you stay in a center lane and you get to the light, and it preempts all lights and lets you get through there, kind of thing. I could see something like that coming into play. Up in East Lake, the conversation has just started. I think we just launched a first workshop about 3 months ago. I'm talking about a survey from the public. And there's going to be a lot more conversation up there. There's just not, there's some right of way there, but there's not as much as you think. I could certainly see, again, the idea of a lane that goes 2 different directions at different times of the day. But we'll just have to wait and see, because I think the residents are going to weigh in, and see what they can imagine first, and then actually decide to live with. But you've got to have, from a public safety standpoint, we're going to have a way to connect the East Lake area on the south end of the East Lake area to the north end. We have fire stations that are responding to calls, and only 1 truck in each station. If it's out on a call, it has to be backed up by the other. And if you're stuck in that traffic, the delays are not acceptable. So we're going to have to do something to provide Is
there any indication of any idea of double decking East Lake or overpasses, anything like that?
Again, I think
it would take away from it's a
scenic corridor.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would certainly take away from that. I don't see that in the offing at all. But I don't think you want to close your mind to things going in, but I don't see that.
Besides being
materializing. Yeah.
A lot of folks argue that much of the traffic load on East Lake Road coming south to McMullen Booth Road and then heading on down to the new network that will be built to feed St. Petersburg, a lot of that traffic comes from Pasco. And we'll be getting more and more and more traffic from Pasco as central and western Pasco continues to develop. Is there been any discussion about asking the Pasco folks to maybe kick in on some of these improvements?
Probably no. No, there's no effort to do that.
Well, for the sake of regionalization, if nothing else.
Well, I do think from a coordination standpoint, there's definitely more conversation that needs to be had between Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas, because if you come up East Lake Road to Keystone, there's 2 ways to go. You can go north to Trinity Boulevard and cut to the east, or you can go to the east right there at Keystone, all the way to Gun Highway and go north. So to me, there's not enough conversation going on between the counties to coordinate a transportation network in that area. We just had a conversation in East Lake on the floodplain management of the waters that come from Hillsborough County through Pasco and into East Lake, into Lake Tarpon. And those groups had great discussion in preparing that presentation. And we need a lot more of that, coordinating it on that floodplain management, but also on transportation.
Okay,
it's critically important. And I could envision at some point if transportation or transit effort on that road, that additional lane or whatever comes into play, having a place to park your cars up there and getting on it and then getting yourself down to Carillon. on a preempting transit ride.
Mm-hmm.
But we, right now the design is to get you over to 19 and get you moving without lights. So that's what we're working on Curlew North. So a lot of work to do, but
Now let's take our glance at the west to alternate 19, particularly at Curlew. Folks who are familiar with that part of the county know that is a difficult intersection, to say the least, particularly seasonally in February, March, and April, when half of the north half of the country is down here to go to the beach at Honeymoon Island.
Yeah, it's really bad. In fact, the transportation folks, I think, get tired of hearing from me because I oftentimes will take pictures of the backups on County Road 1, on Alt 19 at 2 in the afternoon, not in the snowbird season, so to speak, and it's unacceptable. And
That's bad.
And so we on County Road 1, they made some light adjustments, and it worked okay for that. But over on Alt 19, it's a different.
I don't know.
Well, we just did this last week, and
that's my home intersection, and we'll talk about that later.
No. I agree with you, but when you go to Alt 19, it is horrible.
Yes,
and so
is.
there'll be four lanes on north and south of that intersection. There'll be different types of intersections. I haven't seen the final design yet, where they'll be allowing left turns, uninterrupted by the oncoming traffic.
Really?
So it means lane crossovers are being considered. I don't know what the final design is, but one of them was that you would switch your lane before you got to the intersection, and it would queue up for your left turn lanes, and you would still and so you have more traffic movement. That's the idea, is to get more traffic movement while maintaining the safety, because you have two trails that come together there.
Right.
And then you have obviously major Honeymoon Island, the largest, well, not the largest park, but it's certainly the most populated park in terms of the annual visitors in all of Florida. So it is a busy place. They're going to add a lot of signage that allows folks to understand that it's backed up going into and it's this full going in the ATMS system that we have. And so there'll be ways to get people that, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get onto the causeway, get trapped in that nonstop, turtle movement traffic, if you will. And so it'll keep people out of there. So that'll help some too. But we've got some work to do in that area for sure. There's no doubt about it.
And the Causeway Bridge is that
design is going to, I think we have allocated some money in the penny to do the design work. We're looking to our two congressmen to get, they've identified some funding, a place for funding for the engineering. In that fact, it would be reimbursement, but still nothing. You can't get funding unless you do the engineering. And so it's still a ways out there. But it's important. It's one of those bridges that in the next 5-6 years is going to have some major issues. So we've got to get on top of that soon. So.
It is 20 minutes to 5, and we need, of course, to let the chairman get on his way too. But before you leave us, Dave, we were talking about water. Is there anything in particular that we need to know there? PSTA, any topics that you'd like to bring up?
Well, I
just to let us know about.
I think there's a lot of grassroots things that get done in our county. We, on all of our major boards, you have all the cities that are involved and the counties involved, and we really have to continue doing that. We're doing a strategic plan and economic development group in our visit tourism group, so that there's going to be a new approach, a tweaked approach to being better at what we do. That's really important. And it starts at home, and we've got to work better with our chambers, and we're doing things at our building department that helps permits get through easier. But the other piece is, how are we doing regionally? And we've had Tampa Bay Water in place since 1998 when the water wars ended.
I remember those.
And so this Tampa Bay Water organization, I've been fortunate enough to be the chair the last 2 years, and trying to bring the rhetoric down among the partners. We have 6 partners there, and we have different rates of growth and different issues and different challenges. It's about water supply. It's about water quality. And we're bringing together in a regional model, how do we work together to do what's best for this entire region? And sometimes it's on economic development. Sometimes it's on transportation. A few years ago, we came together. Our board in Pinellas County made the #1 project at State Road 60 and I-275, that interchange. And it took us a while to get everybody on board. But when we did, the state continues to tell us speak as one voice in that region, and you'll get more money. We got $1.2 billion for that intersection that would have gone to South Florida otherwise. The governor was here a month ago, met out on the causeway, I believe, with the speaker, and said, this project that we had pushed back a little bit is good. It's that important. We're going to bring it forward. This region spoke as one voice. So there are times when that regional approach brings dollars here that benefits all of us. So whether it's in Tampa Bay water, whether it's in transportation or transit, some of the transit issues that you've alluded to, there has to be more conversation so that we maximize the benefits to our residents.
Are you happy with what PSTA is doing right now with the way they're spending money?
Well, no, I wasn't when I was on the board. I thought that they were a group that chased environmental, I guess, goals and missions all on the PSTA riders. And the PSTA riders wanted more buses. And when we weren't getting help from the federal government to buy electric buses, I kept saying, well, we can buy 2 diesel buses for 1 electric bus, and we can get more people getting more consistency. And the riders really, frankly, didn't care. Well, now the comment is we're going to buy 60 electric buses because it's not our money. Well, it is our money. It is our money. It may not be the local tax dollars, but that's part of the $30 trillion of debt that we have that's growing and unacceptable. And that attitude of, well, the federal government can give us money is just, I think, is unhealthy, frankly. When it's available, we're going to fight for it because if you don't get, it's going to go somewhere else when it's appropriated. But I think we need to take a pause on some of that crazy spending that's going on. And we've got a lot of it coming our way, whether it's the infrastructure bill that was just passed and this other one that they're talking about that I think just got sidetracked.
Well, I think shut down completely. Although they say that Biden isn't done twisting arms yet in West Virginia.
It's just not a healthy approach to economic management. That's for sure. So,
Dave Eggers, Chairman of the Pinellas County Commission, we thank you very much for joining us today on the Republic of Pinellas. It has been a pleasure and informative too.
Thank you, Ron, for having me. And again, Merry Christmas to you, your family, and to the listeners.
Thank you very much. And this is the Republic of Pinellas, and we'll be back after these messages.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Looking for the perfect Christmas gift? Well, send him a MyPillow. Right now, Mike Lindell is offering his best deals ever to his radio listeners on his best-selling products like the Giza Dream Sheet, My Slippers, the 6-piece towel set, the MyPillow 3-inch mattress topper, and his premium MyPillow. Order now and get your MyPillow products just in time for Christmas. Order by phone or online at MyPillow.com or 800-954-9168. Use promo code BILL. That's promo code BILL. And listen to Only in America with Bill Cochran, Tuesday, 6 p.m. on the Tan Talk Radio Network. Caregivers find the support they need on Connecting Caregivers Radio with Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregiver. Heard every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m., Linda and her caring and knowledgeable guests will bring you education, information, and resources, as well as a shoulder for caregivers. That's Connecting Caregivers Radio with Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregiver, where you can find help and hope every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Ain't it good? Hi, this is Jay Leno. Hey, this is Ted Nugent. Hi, everybody. This is David Hobbs. Hi, this is Bob Varsho. Hey, this is Danny the Count Coker. Hey, this is comedian, author, and most importantly, vintage race car driver Adam Carolla.
Hi, this is Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney.
I'm John Forrest.
Hey, this is Jack Roush.
And you're listening to Nostalgic Radio and Cars.
That's Nostalgic Radio and Cars with the most fascinating and legendary names in motorsports every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Chris Steiner, host of Liberation Station Radio Show, to say here's to your health, personally, economically, and ecologically. Teaching the news others lose proves that's what you can truly use. Bringing you credentialed and degreed authorities, accomplished activists, the news-making pioneers who change the course of conversations for the better, and who you might be surprised to find are often among the majority. It's not much of a talk show, more of a do show. Liberation Station Radio Show, Tuesdays 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, theliberationstation.com.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
And we are back here on the Republic of Pinellas at just about 4:47. And in the past year, we've been very grateful to the good folks at the James Madison Institute in Tallahassee. They've been on our show a couple of times on a couple of different issues. And the James Madison Institute is a very well-known, very, very highly regarded, I guess the word is think tank. I don't know. It's a think tank, I guess. But it focuses on free market economics. And it's just an excellent institution up there in our state capital. And joining us is Sal Nuzzo from the James Madison Institute, JMI. And good afternoon, Sal. How are you?
Good afternoon, Ron. Thanks so much for having me.
And we understand that, like any nonprofit organization, the James Madison Institute needs to get infusions of cash and support from folks, and there are various ways they do that. But you are planning a big party, I understand, for the middle of February in Tallahassee as kind of a fundraiser. And so I wanted to offer you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing in February and who your guest is going to be.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much for allowing us to make the plug. For many years, JMI has done kind of a big annual dinner in Tallahassee during the legislative session. Well, as a result of the pandemic, a lot of groups have kind of toned those down, and we've kind of retooled ours. So it's an indoor-outdoor function on February 15th of this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
It's featuring Byron York from Fox News and the Washington Examiner.
Great.
An incredible speaker and commentator. And it's going to be a great, slightly more casual event than we've had in previous years. We've typically had the governor, and we've had messages from the lieutenant governor, our senators, and folks from the legislature come often. So a lot of the same, but just kind of a more friendly atmosphere for networking and kind of the ability to not have to sit down at a table for the entire time. And it's something that we're really excited about, and we're hoping that it'll continue to kind of be consistent over the next several years as we kind of move past the pandemic.
And that, I understand, is going to be February 15th. That's correct?
Yes, February 15th from 6 to 9. It's located at the Goodwood Museum and Plantation in Tallahassee. For your listeners who may be interested in participating either through coming up for it or maybe considering sponsoring, the easiest way is to go to our website at jamesmadison.org, and you'll see it right there on the homepage with information on just about everything that you might have a question about.
And I understand that tickets are reasonably priced for such a wonderful event with an excellent speaker like Byron York. And
we've got tickets priced at $99 for the event. There are sponsorship opportunities available that also include tickets, but individual tickets are $99, and that does include food, drink, the whole bit. We are going to feature a lot of local food establishments from kind of native Florida places, and so we're really excited about the new format, and hopefully it's a tremendous success.
All right, well, that's great, and we will spread the word here in our part of Florida about the James Madison Institute event, the Session Soiree, it's called. Is that the right name?
Yep.
Okay.
You've got it. Our inaugural Session Soiree.
All right. And Sal Nuzzo, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to give us a call here on the Republic of Pinellas. We always like to hear from you and appreciate your help over the past year.
Thanks so much again, Rod. Really appreciate it.
Okay. You take care. And JMI, as I say, in Tallahassee with Sal Nuzzo. And before we go, we want to talk about a few events that are coming up here in Pinellas County. And the events that I'll be talking about are well ahead of the JMI one. But on Wednesday, January the 5th, 2022, can you imagine that? It's almost 2022. The Reagan Day Blue Jeans and Blazers dinner, that will be at the club at Treasure Island, 400 Treasure Island Causeway. And the keynote speaker will be Attorney General Ashley Moody. And of course, that's sponsored by the Pinellas GOP. They're very, very active always, but they're really becoming active this election year. And evidence of that is that a mere 17 days later, the PGOP is sponsoring its 5th annual shootout. And that will be from 8 to 12 at Tampa Bay Sporting Clays in Land of Lakes, that's not Land of Lakes, it's Land of Lakes. But that's basically a trap and skeet shooting a party, and it's been very popular. So that's going to be on the 22nd. And then on the 27th, there'll be a new member orientation from 6 to 8 by the PGOP. And I was spending some time today looking through different lists. You're surprised the information you can get online in this open society of ours. And I thought I would try to tell the listeners, give them a handle on just what it takes to be a successful politician in the United States of America in 2021, 2022. And so I went on the Federal Election Commission website, which can be a little complicated to navigate. But in any event, I discovered that as of the last reporting period, Nancy Pelosi in her campaign account has over $9.5 million available to her to influence elections, her own and however else she wants to use it. Our guy, Kevin McCarthy, is pretty close at $9.3 million. Congressman Dan Crenshaw from Texas, the fellow with the injured eye who's famous for wearing his eye patch. He has $8.1 million. Steve Scalise, who was, I believe his title is the Republican whip. He was a member of Congress who famously was shot and recovered from it, shot very seriously while the members of Congress were engaging in a baseball game. That's been probably 3 years, I believe. But anyway, he has $7.5 million in his campaign account. Everybody get ready to boo when I mentioned that perhaps our least favorite, well, not less well liked than is Nancy, but equally well disliked member of Congress Adam Schiff is holding on to $6.5 million. Exactly, $6.5 million. Here's another one: Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. She is a champion of the downtrodden. Well, she's uptrodden to the tune of $6.5 million in her campaign account.
From the sweatshirts, right?
Exactly, sweatshirts. But on the other hand, Mrs. Marjorie, Taylor Greene, our Georgia representative, who's quite well known, is doing well too with $6.3 million. And finally, last but not least on our list, Matt Gaetz from the Panhandle comes up with a perhaps modest $3.8 million in the campaign account. So the point I'm making is that in order to have an effect in public policy as it affects the United States of America, don't ever be fooled in thinking that these people are just operating by the skins of their teeth. They're not. When it comes, at least, and everyone knows that Nancy Pelosi personally, by virtue of her husband, who is an industrialist, is personally very, very wealthy. I believe I heard the number once that the couple had a net worth of $150 million or something like that, which these days, I suppose, by some comparisons, is not that much, but more than I've got, I'll tell you. Anyway, these members of Congress and others are very well armed when it comes to elections to have their way and to influence votes all around the country, including here in Pinellas. And next time we're here on Republic of Pinellas, which will be after the reporting period, we'll look and see just how our candidates are doing in the race for District 13 in particular. I can tell you in general that as of last fall, the last reporting period, in District 12, the North Pinellas District, there are actually several Republican candidates. The incumbent Gus Bilirakis, whom we all know and love, he's doing very, very well. He's got, I believe, he's got a guy I can't remember right off the top of my head. But most of the other candidates, in fact, all of the other Republican candidates, have failed to really raise any sort of money at all for a primary. So what do people think? About 3 months ago now, we had Scott Rasmussen on our program, And he told us about polling and how it's all done. And since then, he's been sending us poll information just to let us know what the world is really thinking. And according to his latest, just 29% of voters now believe that the worst is over with COVID. And that's down from where it was ago. Optimism is now getting to be very, very low when it comes to COVID. Scott Rasmussen National Survey found 40% believe that the worst is yet to come. Oh, that's not very much fun here at Christmas season. But those are folks, frankly, who don't really believe that the government of the United States has a handle on this. And if we watched Joe Biden recently, I think we understand why. Pessimism is out there when it comes to COVID, but you want to say, buck up and let's hope that we get through this. 58% say that shutting down businesses the last time did more harm than good, and that is why I think that you're seeing our national leaders are resisting mightily the idea of imposing any kind of a lockdown. Some of the folks in Europe, some of the national leaders, including Boris Johnson in Great Britain, have been floating that idea, and the pushback has been violent, and with much fire. And it's difficult to imagine the British getting too upset about things like that, but they have been. And 59% favor relaxing vaccine mandates to ease the supply chain crisis. The Scott Rasmussen polls also say that the Build Back Better plan, which went down in flames with the Joe Manchin standing up with great character and strength to say that he opposed it, the Big Back Better plan did not help President Biden's approval. 53% of all voters now say it's accurate to call the president's overall agenda big government socialism. We agree.
Yes, we do.
And this is the Republic of Pinellas. We have enjoyed being with you very, very much with the chairman of our county commission, Dave Eggers, talking about everything from term limits. And coming up in the next couple of weeks, we are going to address what we do now. We as Republicans wanted term limits. We at least wanted an opportunity to debate the issue in front of the people. We were denied that by the likes of Pat Gerard and Janet Long and others on the county commission. Pat Gerard is up for re-election, and we've got a couple of good candidates vying for the Republican nomination to oppose her. We're going to be working for them. We want you to follow us in 2022 here on the Republic of Pinellas on WTAN Tan Talk Radio Network. I'm Ron Ogden. Have a wonderful holiday season.
American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you